Hello viewer, welcome to Elimu TV where you watch and learn. This is an English lesson. Today we're going to learn about a very important or a key area in English language. Not only English but any other language that you speak or you write. Today we're going to talk about punctuation. And one of the English maybe objectives is that every time you get out of a class, you should learn something new. Because what we learn in English is not only applied in our exams, so we do not learn English so that we may only pass our exams, but so that we can improve our writing skills, our communication skills, and the general skills that we live by, such as etiquette, bargaining, social skills, and such. So today we're going to talk about punctuation. So it would be important if you sourced for a writing material, because I believe you'd have something to note by the end of this lesson and during this lesson. Before then, I'd kindly request you to write to us, air your comments, send us your answers, or what you feel about our lessons. Our FB page or Facebook page is Elimu TV, or you can write us SMS through 40007. Or you can follow us on Twitter. Our Twitter handle is at Elimu_KE. I am your teacher, Salingware. Welcome to today's lesson on punctuation. We're going to learn what punctuation is, what punctuation marks are, and for what purpose or what purposes various punctuation marks serve in English language. So by the end of this lesson, you should be able to define punctuation and punctuation marks. You should also be able to use punctuation marks appropriately. Punctuation marks are not only used when you're writing, they are also used when you're speaking. A simple punctuation mark, when missed or included, can make a whole difference. It can make a whole difference. We will look at the basic punctuation marks. Of course, there are very many. Today we have quite a number of punctuation marks. But today we're going to look at the basic ones. Of course, the full stop, the comma, the hyphen, the speech marks, and such. I am saying that a punctuated or a well-punctuated statement, either written or spoken, has or communicates a difference. So if you talk about maybe a sentence like, let's eat, grandma, it has a comma. It means that you're calling your grandmother to join you and have a meal together. But when you say, let's eat, grandma, without a punctuation, you know what you mean is that you eat your grandma literally. So punctuation is very important in every language. The act or the practice of inserting standardized marks or signs in sentences and paragraphs to clarify the meaning and separate structural units is called punctuation. Punctuation also is the use of certain marks to clarify meaning of written material by grouping words grammatically into sentences, clauses, and phrases. Punctuation uses standardized marks. If they are standardized, it means that if it's a full stop in Kenya and it denotes the end of a sentence, it's the same in Africa, it's the same in America, it's the same in Asia. That's what we mean by standardized. So every language is differently punctuated. What about punctuation marks? We're talking about punctuation. And of course, whenever you talk about punctuation, we must have punctuation marks. Punctuation marks are symbols that are used to aid the clarity and comprehension of written language. Some common punctuation marks are the period, otherwise known as the full stop, the comma, the question mark, the exclamation point, the apostrophe, quotation marks, and the hyphen. We shall look at each of these common or basic punctuation marks individually, but as we move on with our lessons, we'll perhaps look at other punctuation marks that are not so common but are part of a language, such as parentheses. We have others like the dash, the double quotation, the double speech marks and the single speech marks, the brackets and such, and the ellipses. We'll look at them as we move on, but today's lesson we only focus on the basic punctuation marks. Remember, this is a Form 1 lesson, so we should make it, I think, as simple as it can get. So let's look at the primary punctuation marks. The first one is the comma, the full stop, also known as the period, the exclamation mark, the question mark, the semicolon, the colon, the apostrophe, the quotation marks, the hyphen, the brackets, and the slash. The brackets and the slash will be part of the other lesson that will be looking at the secondary punctuation marks. So today we're going to focus on the comma, the full stop, the exclamation mark, the question mark, the semicolon, the colon, the apostrophe, the quotation marks, and the hyphen. So if we could start, let us start with the full stop. A full stop should always be used to end a sentence. It indicates that a point has been made and that you're about to move to further explanations or a related point. You have been told that at the end of every sentence, you should put a full stop. And a full stop signals the end of that sentence. Let us look at example 1. The teacher came to class late. He had an urgent matter to respond to. The teacher came to class late. He had an urgent matter to respond to. At the end of those two sentences, there are full stops. Next, I saw him leave the house in a hurry. He was carrying a black bag. Two sentences, they may be connected in such a way, or they could be, one could be supporting the other, but at the end of each, we have a full stop. Number 3, his phone fell into the pool. He had to buy another one. His phone fell into the pool, full stop. He had to buy another one. They could be related, the two sentences, but at the end of each, we have a full stop, since each is complete and it's expressing a complete thought. A single full stop may also be used to indicate the abbreviation of commonly used words, as in the following examples. Abbreviations. Every time you abbreviate, then you use a full stop. Telephone number is commonly abbreviated as tel, full stop, and number. Note that number is starting with a capital letter. We have the month of the year being abbreviated. For example, we have December being abbreviated as DEC, and it's followed by a full stop. We also have days of the week abbreviated. Again, they should be, each and every abbreviation should be followed or should bear a full stop. We have NB, note better, again, a full stop has been used to show that it is an abbreviation. So most abbreviations that you come across usually bear the full stop sign. Next, we have the comma. The comma is useful in a sentence where the writer wishes to 1. Add a phrase that does not contain a new subject. If you're talking about the same thing, if you construct a sentence and then another one, and then the second sentence tends to support the first sentence, then a comma is used. Number 1, example. Besides the headache and a dry cough, the child complained of stomach upsets. Note the use of the comma to separate those two parts of that sentence. Number 2, his major concern was to get his pregnant wife to the hospital. He didn't care about anyone else. Once again, a comma has been used to link up two parts of this sentence. Number 3, the government has launched an anti-poaching campaign. This will assist preserve our giants. The government has launched an anti-poaching campaign. This will assist preserve our giants. So, the comma has been used to separate the two parts of this sentence. Next, we have, having been in the profession for more than a decade, he decided to start his own consultancy firm. One sentence, two parts linked up by the comma. These are phrases that do not contain a new subject. So, the second part of the sentence, of course, is addressing they have a common subject. So, if we are talking about having been in the profession for more than a decade, comma, he decided to start his own consultancy firm. So, he is the subject, and if the phrase does not contain a new subject, we are saying that the two parts of these sentences are being linked up by the comma. A comma is also used when there is need to pause in an incomplete sentence. Example number 1, she was very tired, she decided to rest. If you say she was very tired, it would be correct, but then if the sentence has another part and you wish to link the two parts, you use a comma. During his childhood, Job never left his mother's side. A comma has been used to link up the two parts of that sentence. Next, it has been raining all morning. I can only travel in the afternoon. Again, the comma has been used. The third use of a comma is to separate items on a list. Example number 1, at the airport he was met by his mother, his 2 sons, and their wives. So the comma has been used to separate items on this list of the people that met this person at the airport. Number 2, I bought apples, bananas, oranges, and pawpaw. Again, commas have been used to separate items on that, if I could call it a shopping list. Apples, bananas, oranges, and pawpaw. Next, we needed some snacks. We needed some snacks, a mat, clean drinking water, and a camera for our picnic. Again, the list, snacks, a mat, clean drinking water, and a camera have been used to separate items on that list. I'd like you to note that the last 2 items in a list are joined, or we use the conjunction and. And every time you use the conjunction and, there is no need of using a comma. Look at the first sentence. At the airport, he was met by his mother, his 2 sons, and their wives. There is no comma after 2 sons. It's only the conjunction and, which is joining 2 sons and their wives. In sentence number 2, I bought apples, bananas, oranges, and pawpaw. Again, oranges and pawpaw, or the last 2 items in a list, are joined by the conjunction and when we use and, we don't use a comma. It would be wrong if we wrote, I bought apples, bananas, oranges, followed by a comma, and then and pawpaw. We only take the conjunction and forget about the comma, the last 2 items or the last 2 items on a list. Last, we needed some snacks, a mat, clean drinking water, and a camera for our picnic. Drinking water and a camera for our picnic, again joined by the conjunction and not a comma. So you don't use both and a comma. You only use and. Number 3, or the third use of a comma, it is to separate more than one adjectives on a sentence. We said that during our adjective lesson, we agreed that some nouns can be described by more than one adjective. We said that an adjective is a describing word or a word that modifies a noun. Let us look at example number 1. The school owned a large coffee plantation. The school owned a large coffee plantation. So we have the adjectives large, coffee, plantation. So if we had a comma on that sentence, it would come after large. 2. Anyango bought a lovely blue umbrella. Anyango bought a lovely blue umbrella. Note that a comma has been used to separate the adjectives lovely and blue. Number 3. They bought an expensive blue car. The adjectives expensive and blue again have been separated by the comma. Lastly, we have she prepared a tasty Italian meal. Tasty and Italian once again have been separated by the comma. And maybe a tip for those who type notes, and you find that every time you type maybe a complete sentence, then you find a red zigzag line underlining what you've typed, even if there is no spelling mistake. After every punctuation, make sure to space. After every punctuation, make sure to space, just maybe to avoid the red zigzag lines that appear on your typing work or your typed work. Let us look at the question mark, another punctuation mark. The question mark simply indicates that the sentence is a question. Any statement that is closed or that is ended by a question mark, it is a question. It's as simple as that. Let us look at examples. Number 1, are we there yet? Who left the gate open? Have you taken your medication? All those are questions. And the main reason we are saying that they are questions is because they are being closed by a question mark. The exclamation mark. An exclamation mark indicates strong feeling within a sentence, such as fear, anger, or love. It is also used to accentuate feeling within the written spoken word. For example, help, I am drowning. It is usually marked by the exclamation mark. It also can be used to indicate a sharp instruction. It can also be used to indicate humor. And another thing to note is that every time you use an exclamation mark, you don't need a full stop. Every time you use an exclamation mark at the end of a certain word, then you don't include a full stop. Otherwise, an exclamation, the moment it's put at the end of one, it functions both as an exclamation mark and as the full stop. Let us look at the colon. And within a sentence, it makes a very pointed pause between two phrases, or a sharp pause, or quite some distance between the two phrases. There are two main uses of the colon. One, it is mostly used when listing. She placed the following items into the trolley. Note the colon: beer, fruit, vegetables, toilet rolls, cereals, and cartons of milk. It is being used at the start of a shopping list or any other list. So she placed the following items into the trolley. There's a colon. And then all the other items on that list are separated by a comma and not the colon. The semicolon is also used when joining two connected sentences. Semicolon, the weather looked surprising, full stop. Two connected sentences. The apostrophe indicates possession or ownership. For example, the girl's hat was green. Note that the girl in this sentence is in singular. We are talking about one girl. This shows that the reader This shows the reader that the heart belongs to the girl. But when you talk about many girls' hearts, then the apostrophe comes after S. Note in that example, the girls' hearts were green. Girls in this instance are plural, more than one girl, thus more than one heart. So it indicates that the hearts belong to the girls. Another use of the apostrophe is to indicate where a letter is omitted. Another use of the apostrophe is to indicate where a letter is omitted. For example, we are going to do this course. The abbreviated or the shorter form of we are is where. We are going to do this course. Note the use of the apostrophe to use that to signal that it's in its short form. Next we have isn't this a fine example of punctuation? Its full form would be is not this a fine example of punctuation? Next we have the time now is 7 o'clock, and maybe most of us don't know what o'clock means, or the full form of o'clock. And the full form is the time now is 7 of the clock. The time now is 7 of the clock. So every time we write o'clock, we include the apostrophe. Maybe previously we didn't know the full form of o'clock, but now we know that the full form of o'clock is of the clock. Note that a common mistake is to confuse it with it. There is the it without an apostrophe, and there is it with an apostrophe. So every time you come across it with an apostrophe, know that it's a short form. It has a full form, which is it is. It with an apostrophe indicates that the reader has omitted a letter. But it without an apostrophe is full, so nothing has been omitted. Having said that, let's move to quotation or speech marks. And they are used, 1, to mark out speech, and 2, when quoting someone else's speech. So every time you quote someone, be sure to place that quotation under speech marks. For example, my grandpa said, share your chocolates with your friends. Note that the full stop comes inside the quotation marks and not outside, and any other punctuation mark. If it were a question, or if this was a question, share your chocolates with your friends, full stop, then quotation mark. Or where are you going? The question mark and then the quotation marks. We are saying that each and every punctuation mark that comes in between speech, it should be included inside the quotation marks and not outside. The hyphen is used to link words. For example, we have sub-part, 18th century people. Note that most of these are compound nouns. We said that compound nouns are words that are formed by more than one noun. We also have it is used when writing dates. So look at how dates are, note how the hyphen has been used when you're writing notes. And on your assignment, research and list the various uses of a full stop. There could be more, so research and write them. I'll also request you to look out for the other use of the colon. Research and write the various uses of the full stop and find the other use of the punctuation mark colon. Maybe that was omitted during the creation of the slide, but be sure to look out for the other use of the colon. I still insist. We'd like to know what you feel about our lessons. If you have any comments, if you have any questions, drop them at Elimu TV on Facebook or Twitter handle at Elimu TV_KE. You can call us. Our phone number is 0726842644. Once again, 0726842644. Or you could write to us. Our SMS number is 40007. Always a pleasure. Your English teacher, Salingware. Till next time, keep it Elimu TV.